Here we are, Super Chat Sundays, and John is with us. You guys have missed him. How's it going? I missed you, man.
Oh, come on. That can't be.
Brother,
I don't know.
I
I don't know what we're
missed.
going to talk about. There's nothing going on in the world. It's boring, boring news cycle. No global cataclysmic events. I don't know what there is to even discuss. But I'm here. It's been a
Could you see
while.
the eclipse from where you were at? Now there wasn't much over in the States, right? We had the big.
No, there wasn't much of it. We
No.
I did see some footage. I think it was mostly from Europe. The kind of the horn thing. Is that what you're
Yes.
referring? Yeah. Yeah, that was
Oh, well, there was
interesting.
a full eclipse in certain, like
Yeah.
Portugal, full
Yeah.
eclipse. Whole thing. The place went dark for a moment.
No,
It
no,
was.
we
You can
we
see
didn't
shit.
have I didn't see anything interesting. We're over here in the boring Midwest.
Sometimes you guys get it, but
Yeah, I think the last one, the famous one where Trump was staring directly at it. That's
yeah.
I did see that one for
That's how you
a
show
brief
good
moment.
example to your people, right? You
Yep,
just do
yep.
that. Try and look at it.
Lead by example.
Yeah. Let me have a look at the chat real quick. We have Crypto7 coming in hard. How are you, man? Bala's there. John Smith. No, Nomos Club Sport. Pneumatic is today. All right, man. Nomos, I like them. They're from Glashütte. And yeah, all the usual suspects. Tony, who are you? Also, my favorite sub would prefer the 31 caliber instead of the 32. Oh yeah, that's because I put John's sub in the
Mm,
thumbnail.
the one and only.
The 30. I have a 114060 here. Maybe I should put that on. I'm wearing a Panerai tonight. Just doing it. This is my watch of the day.
It's a good summer watch.
It's a great summer watch, especially since I got the new strap in Florence only a few months back at the Panerai store. This is the Prada strap, and it's rubber with some sort of texturized rubber or whatever that Prada developed for some boat race or something for the sails or something like that. I don't even
Mm,
know the full story. But it's pretty sophisticated.
looks
And
good.
yeah, it's nice because the other strap is like a beautiful burgundy leather, and in this heat, I would have just destroyed the thing. But I had to wear a Panerai down to Florence, of course, for PT1 and all that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. You can't show your watch because
Yeah.
because
Well,
because
nobody wants to
because
see me on camera anyway.
well, I'm sure they're all dying. I'm
Listen,
sure.
if you've seen a 124060, you've seen a 124060. That is
Let me
the
pull up some footage of a 124060. I gave one to my brother. He did a lot for the channel, man. Like he came up with the logo and the graphics that on all my wallets and my caps and my mugs and everything. Two logos and all the Lenny music and everything. So he was very instrumental in the channel. So last time I, not the last time I saw him, but one of the last times I saw him, I hooked him up with a 124060, which is exactly the same watch as you have. And he hasn't looked back a day since. It's
yeah.
just like his favorite watch.
Is that his one and only too, or does he have others?
He has a tag that his wife bought him
Okay,
years before when they were broke. So it probably has more sentimental value, honestly,
sure,
because
yeah.
when you're broke, like buying a nice, even half nice watch. And it is a nice watch. It always looked very handsome on him. I remember looking at it before I was even into watches, going, that's fucking cool. I
Yeah,
need to get me one of them.
yeah. Tags are solid.
That was a large.
Yeah, and then it keeps going. It's
And
like
then cut to 10 years later. Oh my god! He also has a CN watch. He has one of the Chiara Nardo watches.
I think the
Uh,
same logic applies to watches as to drinks, whether that's saying that the first one is a choice, the second one isn't.
ah,
I feel like that's the same thing that happens with watches. If you stop at one, you're done. You can kind of restrain yourself. Once you get a second, you're on your way to, a 30 watch collection. So that's, I think, the restraint on my part.
you've been on my back now for this, on this for ages about this. Sorry, that's I should reduce. I should come down. I should join your club as a one watch guy. Do you want to go
Well,
back to that territory or?
so here's the thing. I understand that I am an anomaly in this space as a person in the quote unquote watch world that only has one watch, but there are other people out there like me. And it's not necessarily the number. It's, I think that once you get beyond a certain point, it's too much. And I think you've even talked about kind of downsizing the collection because there's certain pieces you pretty much never wear. You have some at the bank, some at the house. So if you could reduce it, I think you probably could get down to maybe 10 or less, given the rotation that you currently have. And I think from a perspective of just kind of simplicity, I think that is a better place to be. Because I always ask the question in reverse when somebody says, how can you only have one watch? And then I say, okay, well, what is the ultimate number for a complete collection?
Right.
And nobody can ever give me that number. And so my
Yeah,
response to that is, if you
three or
can't give
five
me,
or 9 or 20 or
yeah.
30. Yeah.
And so my response to that is then, well, if you can't give me a definitive answer to what is a complete collection, why can't the number be one?
Right.
So that's kind of how I've always looked at it. And I think, for the people that have downsized, I don't know if there's a lot of people that complain about it.
Well, it has to be a simpler existence. This is the 124060. This is your one
Yeah.
watch collection. That is your favorite watch. I heard you him and haw about your, because you had the Pepsi on the Oyster, you
Mhm.
had a Wimbledon on the Jubilee,
Yep.
and you had a Sea Dweller, an SD43, which I
Yep.
might show because this is also in this video. And then you came down to this, and I haven't heard a peep out of you since.
That's
Not
it.
a So
Not
it
a peep.
must, yeah, it
Yeah.
must be something.
It scratched the itch, man. I think that was, because again, when I was going through buying these watches, this was kind of before exhibition pieces were a thing. This is another,
Uh-huh.
people forget that for a very long time you couldn't walk in and try anything on because there were
There's
no
the
exhibition pieces.
SD43, guys, you're watching.
Oh, it's a beautiful, beautiful watch. I will say this is one of the watches I do miss parting with. So there is still a little bit. I don't miss the Pepsi. I don't miss the Jubilee Datejust, but I do kind of miss the SD43. Yeah, there's something special about this one that if I did switch, this would probably be the only one I would switch to. But I just think the sub, it just covers all the bases. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. It's not out of place anywhere. There's never a color clash, which is something I realized with the Pepsi in real life, wearing it day to day, that red and blue was not really my thing. Again, it's a beautiful watch. If you have it, by all means, enjoy it. But this is, I think, the simplicity of the sub and the simplicity of just that design, whether it's the Sea Dweller or the date sub or the no date sub. There's just something about it. It's just like a black tuxedo. You don't really need anything else. If you have a black tux, it's always in style and it is never out of place.
Yeah, it's like a blue blazer and a crisp white shirt. It'll work with anything. A deep
You
blue.
just can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong.
Let's go back to the sub here. Can you tell me your favorite features about this sub? Like when you look down at it.
The thing I love, and I do catch myself looking for that date when I look to see what the date is in the month. I do catch myself still
you
doing
got yourself
that.
a habit from having the
From
Pepsi.
having all the other date watches, yeah. But I do love the simplicity of it and how it is understated. I think there is something about that dial symmetry. I know this is a cliche thing that I think most watch people have probably heard before, that the Cyclops messes up the symmetry of the dial. But I just think as far as function, really all you need is a three-hander. I think it's just the simplest thing about it. And I love that, the bracelet is there's no polished center links. The bracelet is just very straightforward. My
Yeah.
favorite feature on this watch, and I know you and I have talked about this before, where the millimeter adjustments, you've said before, if you have, 5 millimeter adjustment, that's usually all you need. To me, the glide lock, I think, should be mandatory on any Rolex sports watch. I think GMTs should have a glide lock. I think the Explorer 2 should have a
Right.
glide lock. I think the glide lock should be the default for a sports watch, because not really the diver extension thing, but just the ability to adjust. I find myself adjusting it, 30 times a day, whether I'm, in a vehicle, then in an office, then back outside, then, earlier in the day, later in the day, as I'm, more hydrated, less hydrated. I find that to be the most practical feature about it, which is another reason I have a really hard time going to a different watch that doesn't have that feature. So I think
All
people
of the
kind of,
watches on this video have the glide lock of
yeah,
some sort. Even the Deep Sea, the James Cameron there. That, by the way, these are interesting watches, because that watch there is the one that my brother wears every day. That's the exact watch. I went to him,
mhm.
and this one went to a music producer in Los Angeles, and it was in the fires, the
Oh, wow.
the LA fires there over a year ago, 2 years ago. And he had another one, a second one that was given to him by Hans Zimmer, that then was restored. And there was a huge video of one of those restore channels that restore watches that are a mess.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing has millions of views. I was like, oh my God, is that the watch I sold to him? And my brother was like, no, it's not. It's not that exact one. No, but that one was destroyed. So this watch is no longer, guys. It doesn't no longer exist. It was never found.
Uh,
And the ashes. He lost a lot more than the watches. He's a wealthy
yeah.
guy. A lot of art and so on.
I've
But
tried this on in at an AD, and I will
mm,
say that it's actually, because it's titanium, for anybody who doesn't know.
no, that
The
watch
the
is
case back,
absolutely
the case
or
back,
the case
sorry,
back,
the
yes.
the case
Yeah,
back is titanium, so it actually feels pretty good on a wrist. I have probably a
I don't find it
7.
too thick.
Well, so that's the thing. It's very thick. It sits well on your wrist as far as weight. It's not super heavy. It's not as clunky as you would think, but it is a very thick boy. And again, I have a 7.5 inch wrist on a good day. And the proportions are better than what people think, but
Yeah.
the bulk of it is definitely a bit much. So I have a friend that's a lot bigger. He's actually kind of looks like Vin Rames, the actor. So
Mm.
he's a massive guy, and on him it looks like a Submariner looks on most guys. So he pulls it off much better, but he's probably 240, 245, and he's like 6'2". So
Okay.
he's built like a professional athlete. So on him it looks normal, but on a guy like me, I'm only 6 feet tall, about 185 pounds. So this thing looks a little comical on me, especially when you look at it from the side profile. That it is a thick, thick watch.
There's our glide lock. Don't we just love it? Yeah,
Uh,
I agree. Like just a regular glide lock. Just that. Why don't they all use that system there? It is just
yeah,
beautiful.
I don't know why that's not a feature on anything that comes on an Oyster bracelet. I mean, maybe I understand on a Datejust, it's too much because the clasp would be obviously way too thick. But when you're looking at the GMT models, the Explorer 2, I don't know why they don't incorporate that. Maybe it's because it's considered a dive feature that they don't want to cross pollinate, a
That's
dive
exactly
feature.
right.
Yeah.
Did,
So
did you see the glide lock on the deep sea?
yeah, that extra,
The extra
without even
cheap.
having to remove it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I call that the shark mouth when you
it
open it up
looks like
like that.
sharks.
Yeah. That's a great, I love that
Isn't it
thing.
crazy that the way that happens there?
Yeah. The
That's
little, yep.
wild.
It's brilliant, and again, the simplicity of it is the genius, because if you think about the ingenuity to come up with that, it's so simple when you're looking at it and using it, it makes sense. But then somebody had to come up with that before it became kind of the standard.
It feels like one of those secret rooms in a big mansion where you push
Yeah.
books and it opens up a
Yeah.
door. Like, because the clasp looks identical. Like there's nothing new,
Yeah,
different about the clasp. It has the same form factor, but it has the secret door. It's kind of
yeah.
crazy.
That's a great watch. I wish they would go back to, again, I hate to be the, the no Cyclops guy, but the other one that I really love is the what is it? The Sea Dweller 4000 without the
Mm.
Cyclops.
Yeah.
That to me is probably the perfect watch because it does incorporate that date function into the watch itself, but it doesn't have the Cyclops, so that doesn't really break up the dial symmetry. And I think that's kind
Uh-huh.
of that is the perfect watch. So those old, I forget the production years, but I know it was a very short run that they had those made.
4K. There were some
It's a rare.
serious fans of that watch. Here it is on Chrono. At first, it looks like your watch, you know,
Yeah,
but it's got a date.
but there's the date. Yeah, that is probably, again, there. If you can find one, first of all, you got to be able to find one. But I think the prices are getting a little crazy on these. I mean, you're talking almost $16,000 for a
Mhm.
stainless steel, but it's, there's no, this isn't a rational purchase or a rational hobby. So I guess that just kind of comes along with the territory here. But the other thing I always tell people is, I think the utility of a one watch person also makes more sense if you have a watch that's able to fill different roles, so kind of a dive watch. Like I said, it's fine if you're dressed up and you're wearing a suit. It's fine if you're just in a t-shirt and shorts. It's fine when you're at the beach. It kind of checks all those blocks. So it would be harder to be a one watch guy with a solid gold date eight. I think that would be a little tougher
You're right.
practicality wise. But I
Yes.
think when you look at something like a GMT or even a Daytona or a Submariner, those are easier. Even a Datejust, that is kind of a simple watch. But I will tell you, it does reduce the kind of constant hedonic treadmill that most people are on when they're thinking about the next purchase and which one are they going to offload to purchase this one and how is it going to fit into their collection. It just
The
seems to be
Adobe treadmill.
it's exhaustive to me. It seems like an exhausting exercise. So I
There's
know
the
that I would go there if I had to, more than one. So I'm trying to just avoid that.
there's the James Cameron on my wrist.
Yeah, it looks good.
That angle looks fine, but man, is that a thick watch? Looks
But that's what I
perfect.
mean. When you look at it like that, it
It's
looks
so
absurd.
beautiful. Yeah.
But
Look at it
looking at it straight on with the dial,
straight
it
on.
looks
It's fine.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. If they made a thinner one that didn't go down to 12,000 feet or whatever it goes down to, I would take it. I don't need
Yeah.
to go to 12,000 feet. Just make me a 44 mil as slim as the sub is, and I'll get in line for it. Hey, there's all
There you
three.
go. There's all
Money
three on the
shot
wrist.
there. One watch is in LA on my brother's wrist and is on stage every night, or in the studio. The SD43 I no longer have. I actually don't have an SD43 right now.
And you had two at one point.
I did. I don't know where that one went.
That was
Some
a
people
great
probably bought it. I'll definitely get another one. And the other one was lost in the LA fire. Isn't that funny?
yeah. And you know what's funny? That SD43, I feel like it's a curse there where you buy one and the AD calls you because
Yes.
the exact same thing happened to me. I purchased the SD43 from the gray, and 2 days later, I got the call for the no date sub. So it was like just it. There's something about the SD43 for whatever reason that when you pull the trigger and buy it, something else happens, something else comes along. So that's the same thing that happened to you when you got the call for, and you had the Mark II, right? Or the Mark One?
Both.
Oh, you had both.
Yeah, the one I bought on the gray was a Mark One, and I took it also for that reason because
Yeah.
it's a special thing. And then of course the AD called me a few days later, and of course that was a Mark Two.
And those were the kind of
They're
COVID.
identical, some tiny details, but they're identical watches.
But that was the COVID hype days because back then
Some people
those
think
things.
some
No,
people
no.
think the Mark One had the 3135 and the Mark II had the 3235. No,
Same movement, right? It's just dials were
Same
different.
movement. And they changed the movement. They changed the second digit in the reference. That did
Oh,
not change.
are there any
So
dial changes on those?
the Mark II had crown between Swiss and made,
Mm,
and another tiny detail. I can't remember what it was. Really small stuff.
yeah.
You just look out for the crown. If it says Swiss made without a crown between it and at the 6th, then you know you have a Mark I, which is technically more collectible because that
Mm,
was technically a 50th anniversary. The other is a 51st anniversary
yeah.
watch. One's that. But you know my collection pretty well. You know me
Yeah.
and my look. Does it ever, you're as a one watch guy looking at this poor creature suffering this terrible infliction of going through?
Yeah, I do feel terrible for you living in Venice, being surrounded by majestic art and fantastic weather most days. I do feel bad for you. So go
It
ahead,
was funny
continue.
the other day because I dropped off a load of watches at the bank and I picked
Yeah,
up an Opal, but not many.
what
And
a
then
what a burden.
Friday
I
night, I
went.
was like, oh, look at this watch, look at that watch, look at this watch. I was like, how many fucking watches are in the house? I thought I dropped off a lot,
Yeah, I
So I'm
definitely feel pity
definitely,
for you. Go ahead.
yeah, okay. Does it, are there any watches that come to mind that you think, if he were to have the courage, because that's what I lack. Let's be clear
Mm,
about it. You need courage to go down to one watch once you're
yeah.
in it takes
So
balls to do that.
it takes balls to go from having a large collection to a one watch collection. I agree with you that it takes a lot less courage to do what I'm doing, which is to never even go beyond that first purchase and that
Oh, you
first
think that
watch.
takes more courage?
I think it takes a lot more courage to downsize than it does to maintain a one watch collection. So I
Oh,
think
yes,
that
yes.
for people who have a large collection and then they sell off everything with an exception of maybe 1 to 3 watches, I think that is a much more drastic move than to be somebody like me who just kind of never expanded the collection beyond the one piece. I think that's kind of just a much more easier setting. For you, I again, from my personal perspective, I think the watch should kind of cover certain areas. One, it should be something that you associate with yourself very well, and other people associate with you. So, like for example, my wife sees my watch and kind of sees me in it to some extent. There's like a bleed off of aura of my personality and my aesthetic that matches the watch. And there were certain
Right.
watches that didn't do that. So the Pepsi actually being one of them, when she would see that watch, she's like, "This isn't you. This isn't a
Yeah.
you watch. I don't see you in this watch. It looks fine on you. It looks nice. It's a beautiful watch, but there's just a mismatch there." So I
Hmm.
think that's the first concept. The second one to me is always utility. If you're somebody that is wearing formal attire on a regular basis, you should have a more formal watch. If you're kind of a more sporty, athletic guy, you should maybe have more of a sports watch. So figuring out what that is, so with those two things, if I had to say it just from the outside looking in, I would say you are either Rolex AP or Panerai. And I think the watch that I most associate with you when I see it on you is your AP Chrono.
Ah.
That's where I would go. So if I was in your position and I was starting to downsize, I think once you hit the Trinity, unless you're wearing those other pieces that really have some meaning to you. So for me, I would downsize your collection to the original Omega Seamaster that you purchased.
Hmm.
I would
Hmm.
keep that. I would keep the AP Chrono and then maybe fill in with some other Rolex. And that would be a three watch collection. That
I
would
have
be
I have said watch right here in front of me, so let
yeah.
me put it on just for reference. So I'm taking off the Palm. Hold on, I'm going to read this from Sean. Great to see and listen to John. Cheers, my friends. Time only is all you need. I think the bare minimum would be 2. You need a yellow gold along with either stainless steel or white gold. Fine tune the coordination with your outfit and season. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sean.
Sean. And
I'll
Sean
remind
is
the
right.
audience that it's Super Chat Sunday, or apparently not. Haven't one yet, but that's fine. It's Super Chat Sunday, guys. Come on, we're talking watches. We're going to talk other stuff. I have one one of your favorite guests on. It's a nice, relaxing Sunday evening. Let me give this a little wind. I'm not going to set it, but I always feel odd putting a dead watch on my wrist. At least I want it moving, right? It's funny about these Seamasters. You wind them for ages, and then they begin.
And then they finally start.
They finally start. You know, it's like it's you're sending signal in on one end of the building or something. So there is the.
Yeah, see.
It is. I mean, this could have saved me so much trouble had I just stuck with this. Is that me?
Yeah, that's perfect, man. I mean, well, and again, this is where
So you would say
that
this
watch
for a sub.
that watch means, yeah, that watch probably means a lot to you. You know,
It
there's
does.
probably memories, and you
Yes.
remember when you bought it, how you felt when you bought it, the symbolism of it. So I think
Yes.
that's another thing. You know, as I'm getting older, I'm also kind of realizing that maybe I won't always be a one watch guy. Maybe I will make those additional purchases. Maybe, you know, a VC or a Breguet or something more formal, kind of more of an older gentleman type of watch. So I'm open to the possibility. This is where I'm not a fanatic, where I'm just saying one and done forever, no matter what happens. But I don't want to just start buying them just to buy them. So if something significant happens, or a meaningful event, or my style starts to change, I think I will always keep the sub, but I may add eventually additional pieces to it.
And why would you ever sell that sub?
Yeah, I think it's just
What's
there's no point. There's no point.
It's always going to go up in value. Like the one watch that never drops in value.
Yeah.
That, you know.
And
If
the
that
uniqueness of it too, this is another thing that you pointed out one time, and I actually didn't think about it. It is the purest watch in another sense, which is what you said, that when you go on the Rolex website, there are no variations of it.
No,
Even the Explorer 2, there are two versions. There's a white dial and a black dial.
that's right.
But everything else has, you know, stainless steel, gold, two-tone, right? There's all these other variations, Oyster Flex. The sub no date, that's it. That is the only version that you can get. So there is something kind of special about that. And I think the simplicity in this way is also kind of, I hate to use the word flex, but it is kind of the flex of the simplicity of it, that you don't need, you know, anything really brilliant and shiny and gold and platinum. It's just a utility watch that is beautiful, but also has a purpose, and it's simple.
There's this. There's a 114060 next to the
Yeah.
to the Seamaster.
But see, again, knowing where the Seamaster originated from, I would pick the
It's the
Seamaster.
story is what you're saying.
Yeah. Knowing this, knowing the origin story, that would be my choice for you to always keep, to never get rid of that watch. And again, there's other, you know, I think if you're leaning more towards the Breguets and the VC, that VC chronograph that you have is all, I mean, again, there's, well, what can you really say about a VC chrono? That, you know, that's basically same thing with the Breguet, you know, that's just art on your wrist at that point. But I think if you had the AP chrono, a Breguet tourbillon, and the Seamaster, man,
that's it.
Every occasion is covered.
So I have to dump the AP, the green AP off.
The Fidel
Castro.
Because really, do you need two APs? And out of those two, which one would you pick?
You're right.
You'd keep the chrono. You know what I mean? Yeah. That is that. So that's where I would, you know, start again. And you can start at the outer edges. You know, there's got to be watches that you just don't wear on a fairly regular basis in your. So maybe start cutting down.
Every Friday I try to sell them and see if anybody wants them. Here's one that everybody thinks really, really suits me. It's very me, especially when I'm wearing black. It is the Tudor chrono.
And here's the other thing: you're a victim of your own success in a way, because the problem is most watches look good on you. So that's another kind of, you know.
As long as they're big enough, yeah.
Yeah, but it is kind of a defeating way of trying to consolidate a collection, because when everything looks pretty good on you, it's hard to say that you're going to stay away from certain watches. Like some people, gold doesn't look good on them because of their skin tone, whereas other people, it matches really well.
Well, my brother was I give him a few choices. And I was trying out different stuff. And I also had my gold sub with me at the time, and he tried it on. Not that he was taking it; he was just he wanted to see what it looked like, and it looked awful because he has a very different
Yeah.
complexion to me. And in the end, it was just not even the high gloss like polished center links, just the satin steel. It just like my
Yeah.
mother was in the kitchen making tea while we were sitting at the dining table going through watches. She was like, "Oh, that's the one." Like even
Yeah.
my mom saw it from across the room and went, "That's the watch for him." Because some watches just scream on your wrist. They're like the perfect thing for
They
your.
just fit. Yeah. And
They
that's
just fit
again,
their look.
you
They're everything. They're your size.
and you had solid advice there as far as buying or trying on watches. Not only take somebody else with you because they're seeing the watch from a different perspective, but
Yeah,
those are the people that will know, whether it's your wife or girlfriend or a friend that, you kind of knows you well, they'll know what fits your aesthetic and what doesn't, and what makes sense knowing you. So I
so
think
does your
that's,
wife look at your no date sub and say,
yeah,
"That's you, honey"?
yeah, she says that's me because for her it's the understated. I'm not a very flashy person in real life. I'm not very
Right.
bombastic and kind of, over.
And then we get to the second point.
Yeah.
Nice
So
segue. Thank you
what's
for
that?
helping me. It was a nice segue. Thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
subliminally helping
Yeah.
me. You're a master of psychology, as we all know. Um, that's the next point. The understated, the under the cuff. Like, how under the cuff is a no date sub? Like, any Rolex, even the modest looking Rolex, are still a fucking Rolex. And they
Yeah.
still attract attention. They
So
still catch an eye from across the room. I don't care how plain you think it looks, just because you saw it next to maybe a gold day date, it looks a bit more
sure.
downplayed or whatever. But the truth is that there are very, very few people with that caliber of timepiece on their wrist, and any of them are going to be a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a perspective point, and I think that's where I've heard these conversations, especially in the watch community, where people will say, things like, well, everybody has a Submariner, everybody has a Rolex, they're so common, and I always have to reflect on the grandiose absurdity of that kind of statement when you actually consider how rare a luxury watch is. Period. And if you think about, 8 billion people on the planet, the majority of those people don't even live in the first world or the second world where
Yeah.
this is a common thing. And even if you look at a country like the United States, most Americans don't have enough cash in their bank account for a $500 emergency. So the people that you're talking about that not only have the money to purchase a luxury watch, especially a Rolex, but the inclination to spend that money on that luxury purchase rather than saving it for a
Yes.
rainy day or repairing
Yeah,
a
for most
car.
people, what's the no date sub in the US on the market now? 12,
Yeah.
13,000, 15.
Yeah. I've seen the brand new ones even now that are 2026s that are going for 14 that
Yeah,
are, and at retail I bought mine for 9,600.
and good
So
luck.
yeah, you're just talking about, an absurd amount of money for most people. And even if they have $10,000 in the bank, that is their $10,000 emergency fund. That is
Yeah,
not income that they're going to spend on anything like a luxury watch. So when you're talking about who has a Rolex, it's a rounding error on a rounding error when it comes to the population. So I
yeah.
always thought about that, but
It's not even
the
the 1%. It's the
it's
one
not
percent.
even, yeah. And the other comparison that I had this epiphany the other day where I think that as we progress in life, we tend to still do external comparisons. We compare ourselves to other people and where other people are in their life, in their career, what they have, the old keeping up with the Joneses. And it's very difficult to feel gratitude when you're doing that because you realize there's always somebody that's more experienced than you, that has more, that's more, affluent, that's achieved more. But what I thought about is I thought about what I would give at the age of 21 or 25 to have my life today and how much more comfortable and how much more accomplished I am in my 40s than I was in my 20s. And that comparison is where you really start to feel gratitude that if you met the 20-year-old version of you and you realized what you had today, how would you view yourself? How successful would you consider yourself from the point of view of the younger you? You know, you would be looking at you going, holy shit, man, you've achieved a lot. You're really, you've made it essentially. So I kind of look at that, where in my 20s, I would have thought it was obscene to have a $10,000 watch, and let
Let me
alone,
hit this
yeah,
real quick. James Vacheron. Let's guess
excellent
what
name.
he wants to keep. Let's take one guess. James
Very
Vacheron
subtle.
wants to keep his Patek Philippe only. If I had to keep one of my watches, it would be my VC 7900V Dual Time Blue. It's a very beautiful watch.
Great choice.
Congratulations. Handles water, travel, and dresses up or down. But I admit this choice is cheating a little because I have 5 straps to change out. Well, the VCs do come with different straps,
Yeah,
which is a
they figured
great
that
thing. Yeah, they do a great thing there. A lot of people have an opinion here on which ones to keep.
Oh, for you?
For me, yes, yeah, because it's all about me, John. Don't you know that?
Well, they know your collection.
That's true. Yeah, the AP Chrono, a Speedy, and
Oh,
the Solid Gold Dancer, the GMT in gold, or one of the gold that could also be replaced by another sub.
also DG
Voila.
solid.
Yeah, it should be the Speedmaster, a Seamaster, the AP Chrono, and one Panerai Fortune's downsized collection of 4. That's interesting.
So there seems to be a consensus around the Seamaster and the AP Chrono.
Yeah, I think they think of the AP Chrono as me, but they also see the Seamaster because of the story. They're like,
Yep.
if it wasn't for that goddamn watch, we wouldn't have gotten all those good videos.
Yeah,
I think
we wouldn't be sitting here talking.
they have a sentimental connection with that watch as well. Yeah. Sal, no, who's this? Rad Hatter, Pam 127, Fiddy, Pam 360, barbecue. Wow, he's got a lot of Pams. Plus my Rolex 16700 GMT. Ooh, got a lot of Pams. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. It continues to be a tough one. I think I'm a bit like a non-vegetarian who wants to be a vegetarian. Like I really enjoy steak and I really love fish, etc., etc. But if they came out and said, listen guys, sorry, the party's over, factory farming is terrible, we're all going to hell for what we did, it got out of hand, guys. Okay, so the party's over, so all you can have now is cheese, okay, and wine. Have all the wine you want, okay, and vodka, whatever. But bread and cheese and other things, lettuce, tomatoes. But there ain't no more meat and fish because, we're killing the sea and we're killing the planet. So sorry, fellas, have one last hurrah tonight. Eat the biggest steak you can find, but it's over. I'd be like, fair enough. Yeah. It's probably, we have literally been getting away with murder for a very long time. And we should probably just quit that. I wouldn't look back. I'd miss it probably, but I think that when I meet a vegan or a vegetarian, I admire them. It's like when I meet a person who's sober, who used to drink, and they have absolutely no inclination of drinking at all, and they used to love the stuff. I admire them. I'm like, you have a superpower that I don't understand. And I look at the one watch guy. I know these were very hardcore examples, whatever, parallels.
No, it makes sense.
One watch guy in the same way. I'm like, God, you're free, man. You're free, John.
I think what you're admiring there is actually what I think is the restraint. I think it's that. I think it's the discipline or the restraint that you think goes into it, which is why, being sober and not eating meat and
there. Okay, well, there's where my metaphor collapses. I think that it's definitely there. You're not wrong. But the other thing is, the watch is you. I've said it before. Like the
Yeah.
wife comes home, she doesn't know if you're home. If you got home before her, you both have a 9 to 5 job, and she comes home and she's like, "Honey," and you're in the shower. You don't hear her say anything, and she sees your watch on the kitchen table. Oh, he's
Yeah.
home
Yep.
now. My current girlfriend comes in, there's a tray. It's like Hansel and Gretel trail of
Yeah.
crumbs. There's a trail of watches
Yeah.
just all around the house.
Yeah. She's not sure if you were robbed or if you're making a video
Yeah,
because
or
it's just watches everywhere.
the watch is not a clue. Let's put it that way. She has
Yeah.
no idea if I'm here or not, because there's just too many watches anyway in the house. Watches I have to film and advertise, even ladies' watches that I would never wear. And then obviously my own watches that I do wear, which one is me, you know? So I envy the kind of, because it's like one guy and his dog, you know, one man and his dog on an adventure.
Yeah.
There's some new movie with Brad Pitt and he's out in the mountains in the snow and he's got his dog and it's his best friend, you know? And there's something kind of gorgeous about that. Or one guy and his motorcycle, you know,
Yeah.
that just suits him and fits him. And the one watch guy, it's like Lenny Kravitz has that Daytona on a bun strap. Every time I see him on stage, any photo,
Yeah.
black and white color, no matter what it is, him walking around his big house showing Vanity Fair magazine, his big house or whatever, he's always got that fucking thing on. Now, when we think about historic watches, watches that go for sale at Christie's, like the Paul Newman, and then, you know, Marlon Brando had that GMT without the bezel. We're marveling at that one watch guy,
Yeah.
aren't we? We're thinking, we think, the Tag Heuer, the Monaco, Steve McQueen,
Yeah.
or the 1655, Steve McQueen. We think of the Daytona, we're probably going to think about Paul Newman. So why? Because their watch became their thing. Now, I call the Buckley dial 36 mil Datejust. I call it the Harrison
The
Ford.
Harrison Ford. Yep. Because that's
Because
his.
man, the props department would go, okay, so you're wearing these suits, and you know you're a doctor in Paris who's lost his wife, you know, Roman Polanski film, whatever. So you've got a suit, and you've got, you know, a bunch of suits. What should we put on your wrist? And he went, I'm wearing my watch.
Yeah.
And no matter what film it is, he has that fucking thing. And now when I see a Buckley dial, white dial, Buckley configuration, Datejust, with a really stretched out, really messed up old Jubilee, I think of Harrison fucking Ford.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're all after, is maybe that feeling. And maybe that's why when we see it in other people, we tend to, you know, we tend to admire that, because once you found that one piece that's very you and everybody else sees you in it, I think that's what everyone's after. They're chasing that magical feeling of maybe that one watch will be theirs and that will be the one thing. So I don't know. To me, it's not that crazy. It's not that
Do you think
unique.
that's what collecting is then? Do you think that's what it is? Is that what I'm actually doing? And I
think that's the romantic side of it. Yeah. I think if you're looking at it from the romantic point of view, that you're seeking in essence,
seeking out the best one.
You're seeking out the essence of you in an object, like that talisman that's representative of you, that you feel that way about it, and other people see that and think that way about you. And it's kind of with, you know, your father's lighter, right? That's on the table next to you.
That's right here.
That is an exemplary portion of that, right? Because every time you look at that lighter, you think of your father, you know, and I'm sure your father took a lot of pride in that item. Now, how valuable would that be if he had a collection of Zippos? It dilutes that essence.
Did you just do that to me?
Well, that's in the article. That's in the Substack of the One Watch Man. That's what I talked about, where that's the psychology of it. That when we look back at an item of a lost relative or somebody that passed away, we usually hold on to one specific thing and we cherish those specific items. And there is no value gained from having more of those things. And that's what I think we should apply to ourselves. because we see that value in one item from a relative that passed away, and we don't think back, oh God, I wish he had more Zippos, because I really wish I had 7 of these things and I could keep one in my car and one at the office and one in my house. That uniqueness of it and that, romantic feeling is because it is a one piece. That's it. There's only one of those things. And so while we see that in other people, it's hard for us to incorporate that into our own possessions because we think we need to acquire more and more and more and have a variety rather than a potency of that one item.
That's actually hit pretty hard.
And not to get really morbid here, but imagine if you want to take this to the next step.
I know.
Which watch would your daughter associate with you?
I knew you were going to say that. Fucking ass.
If she had to pick one for you, which one would she pick? And I'm pretty sure she would pick one. I don't think she would say, oh, there's these 10 pieces that I associate with my father.
It's not going to ring the same.
Maybe one or two.
Next week, it's not going to ring the same when they're delegating all my stuff, and they're like, oh, Lydia should get her father's watch. She'd be like, which fucking watch?
Which one?
Father's watch? What are you talking about?
Can you be more vague?
D-Day one day, just like lying there because he forgot that he was looking at it while he was taking a dump.
Yeah.
Well,
and even there, even though you may have a collection, but there will probably be one piece. Like, let's say you keep all of them, right? Let's just say for the sake of argument, there will be that one piece that she associates most with you. That one watch that maybe you wore to, her birthday and you guys went out, or maybe a graduation or some event, that there will be some one that is crystallized in her psyche that she associates with you. Just like there's certain things about your father or your mother that you associate with them. And it's usually not a multitude of things. It might be one individual item or one individual piece of clothing or a smell. When you walk into your mom's house, there's a smell. There's something there that you relate to her. So I think your daughter will probably look at your watch collection in the same way, where she may like many of them, but there will be that one that she thinks of you when she sees it. Even if she sees it on other people's wrists right now while you're still alive and kicking, she sees that watch and thinks of, oh, that my dad has that watch, and she may not do that with all of them, even though plenty of people wear a Submariner. But
Jerome makes a good point. When you only have one watch and it needs a service, you don't have a watch for 5 months. Well,
that is an excellent point.
You might have a little Seiko or a little something, or one of those moon swatch things that will just hold you over, bridge you over for that time, and you're like swimming to the other side when you finally get your one watch back, and then that's a glorious day.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of like the really absolutist version. I mean, I have a G-Shock that I had since I was in the Army. That thing, I can always throw that thing on. It's got a battery in it that's been replaced maybe 3 times in its lifetime. It's a 25-year-old watch, but it still runs. And if I send in the Submariner for service, I'll just throw that thing on and just whatever. But if we're talking luxury watches, anything over the $1,000 mark, probably you'd start getting into that territory. I don't know. I think it's there's something about keeping just the one. So, all right, I'm going to get all introspective and philosophical with you.
You've already gone there, man.
But I think that's something to consider.
So this is not a contender then.
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, listen, I love Tudors. Tudors are beautiful watches. I have a friend that has a exclusive Tudor collection. That's all he has is Tudors, and he doesn't want to go to Rolex.
No, yeah, right.
He refuses. He thinks Rolex are jewelry, and he owns a business, and he has a Pelagos 42. He's a bigger guy. He has a Pelagos. He just bought a GMT Coke from Tudor, and he has a one of their dress watches. So he has three watch collections.
Are bigger guys, man. These muscle dudes for the gym.
Yeah, I'm the smallest guy in the group.
Firearms and shit. The thing about this DG said, "Didn't you wear the gold for graduation?" And I did. But I think it might be this one. I think it might go back to, she might already have figured this out. And I gave her one of these for a graduation. We recently, for the Red and Tory, when she was here, we both wore our Seamasters. She's a 36 mil, but it's automatic. It's not a quartz one. And yeah, that might be the one. She might be like, give me that. But yeah, if it were one watch, it would carry a lot more import. Here's another one that everybody's been saying, "Oh my God, it's so you should keep it." I'll stick it on.
The IWC.
Yeah.
But again, this is your paradox there, because again, there's rarely a watch that you put on that doesn't look good on you. You can pull off a lot of watches. You got a good sized wrist, so that's kind of a trap. You know what I mean? Yeah,
right.
that's a beautiful watch, and there's no, you can pull off a micro brand that's lesser known, or you can pull off a strangely enough, this is another thing that I feel that myself is not quite there yet, is the more refined watches. The leather strap with the gold, case. You're talking a Calatrava, Breguets, some of the fancier VCs. I feel like I can't pull those off quite yet. I don't have the stature or the status to do that yet.
I've seen you all dressed dapper with a waistcoat.
Yeah, but I just feel like that watch is still a little too. I'm not quite there yet. I haven't quite earned it with that. But when you were wearing your Breguet, I mean, that thing seems right at home on you. So again, maybe that's a quirk of my own, psyche, where I perceive myself differently than other people. Maybe somebody else saw me wearing that and they go, "Oh, that looks great on you. You should get that." But for me, it's not quite there yet. So this is the other thing, is your association of what works for you versus what other people think works for you, and how much you value.
You're that. Also you're not 50 yet,
Yeah, not yet. I'm getting there.
When you get to 50, stuff might change.
Yeah.
Start thinking about pipes.
Well, that's what I think. There is some value to that. There is some truth in that as you get older, you become kind of more, established, and kind of more of an elder statesman, so to speak. And that your aesthetic can, change a little bit. And it's not, you see a 25-year-old guy with a gold date. I don't know. That's not, that seems out of place.
Wrong, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, unless again, a super wealthy person, sure, you wear and buy whatever you want, and if you like it, you like it. But it does just seem a little off to me. But again, this is all individual.
Let me put on a Speedy. Although this is a very unusual Speedy because it's black and gold. But yeah, what do you think of that? It is a nice watch, isn't it? The IWC.
The IWCs are fantastic. And that's another thing too. Once you start getting away from the Rolex hype, that is one of the things I kind of do acknowledge that taints it a little bit, is, the Rolex hype that's associated with the brand. Whereas if you're in Breguet, VC, Patek, IWC, kind of those other brands, you're almost unconcerned with, value and what's in, what's not, what's the hype watch, what is popular, what isn't popular. You're almost kind of beyond that.
Yeah, everyone is privy to that stuff. Everyone's going to be a victim of that. Once you start getting into watches, it's not long before various YouTube channels and so on are going to start convincing you that you need a Daytona, a Panda Daytona, when you don't know if it's even going to look good on your wrist. But you might convince yourself that a Panda Daytona is in your future, because you're just staring at the same stuff. So,
and it's tough with the algorithm, because the algorithm knows you better than you probably know yourself. And once it starts suggesting things and you start engaging, you start convincing yourself that certain things are for you when they might not be.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice Speedy. It's a steel watch with gold parts, gold.
Here's a controversial opinion. I think Speedmasters look better than Daytonas if you're going to go with a chronograph. Wow. Aesthetically, there's something about the Speedmaster that I prefer over the Daytona.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's because the strap options, because you can kind of very versatile watch.
Yeah.
I wish they were more rugged, more waterproof. for
But
but
not. Yeah.
but there's something aesthetically that I think they have a better, I don't know, again, the understated look of a Speedmaster. But you can still tell it's a Speedmaster if you
For
know
me,
watches.
the Speedy is mostly about that angle there. That's where the Speedy looks like a
Yeah,
Speedy.
yeah,
It's that angle. So if you're sitting opposite a person and they're writing or eating or whatever, and you keep seeing the watch from that angle, that's when you go,
yeah,
fuck me, and the Speedy is
yeah,
a great thing. Unfortunately, the wearer himself doesn't get to see the watch at that angle very
yeah.
often.
That's
I'm
the other
also in a
cruel joke.
position because I see myself a lot on the camera with the watches. A lot of people, when they see their watch, they see it from that angle, they look down. And the watch looks so different to the reader of the watch than it does to every other person. They might see themselves at a wedding and notice the watch on their wrist for the first time, or maybe a friend takes a photo, or if they're
Yeah,
super vain, they might take one of those zoomed mirror shots for Instagram or whatever. But it's very different for the guys who do the content because they get to see their wrist at every angle and the watch at every angle, versus most people who only
yeah.
really get to see the watch like that as they look down at it. Like
And it's
that's
funny you say that because that was one of the turning points of the Pepsi. Because a friend of ours took a picture of me and my wife while I was wearing the Pepsi, and it didn't look good from that angle.
there you go.
I loved looking down at it, but when
Yeah.
I saw myself wearing it, it looked out of place. It didn't look right.
That's why you need the wife or the friend
Yeah,
around, or the
yeah.
full length mirror in the store or something.
And I'll be honest, listen, I'm human like everybody else. When I was looking for, the first GMT that I was going to buy, I wasn't dead set on the Pepsi. I just said, anything with a GMT function. But when the
And
AD
they were
called
like,
me,
"Oh, let's give you a fucking Pepsi
yeah,
for
when the
first."
AD called me and said, "Here's your GMT Pepsi is here," I was just like, "All right, whatever. Even if I hate it, I'm going
That's
to
what I'm
purchase
mad
this
against
thing."
you, man.
Yeah,
There's
I
only
wasn't
one
gonna.
thing. There's only one better person to be than a rock star or a film star in a fucking Rolex AD, and that's a guy with a big fat badge.
Yeah, it
Okay, I
didn't
want to
hurt.
be his friend.
It didn't
Let's
hurt
give
my
him a
chances.
Pepsi.
Yeah.
God damn it. You got that after 6 months or something, right?
8 months, yeah, 8 months.
With your first watch from the AD.
It was my first, yeah. So that was a new
That's
AD because I'd been dealing with a totally
unheard of.
different AD, and I made this AD was about an hour drive from me. So I actually drove out there and walked in, introduced myself, and I did the whole, song and dance. And I think I just got lucky with the sales guy. The sales guy was a younger guy, and I think he kind of thought my job was cool and I had a cool story. And so, yeah, it just worked. Listen, sometimes it works, sometimes it
He was
doesn't. I
bragging
wouldn't.
to his mates all week. Oh yeah,
Oh,
I work for Rolex. I just sold a really hard to get Rolex to he milked the shit
yeah.
out. Of course he
Well,
did.
it was funny because the AD game turned in the other direction because when I came back for, I think, a second or third visit, he had told the manager, "Hey, this is the guy I was telling you about." And
Yeah,
I
right.
thought, "Oh shit, this is a good sign," because again, at that time, I had no idea that it was going to be a Pepsi. I would have been happy with a Batman or, I would have been happy with anything because I was traveling a lot. And that's kind of what I told him as I said, "Listen, I do actually use the GMT function. So it's not, I would have been fine with an Explorer, and Explorer 2. And when we started talking, the manager pulled me off to the side and he's like, "All right, listen, your dream watch, what is it?" And I said, "Okay, well, if you're asking me that question, it's
Nobody ever gets that question, by the
yeah,
way.
it's
That's
definitely
spoiled.
the."
They created a monster now.
I
You
know.
got fucking
Yeah.
spoiled. No, nobody ever asked me, "Hey, come here.
It
Come in the
was an
second
odd.
my office. What's your dream watch?"
It was, yeah,
Nobody even.
yeah. So again, I know this is a
I
unique
chose the wrong
experience.
profession.
Listen, I will tell you this. I sometimes feel guilty about it, but then I think to myself, this is probably what beautiful women experience every day of their lives.
The minute the badge came out, they saw a beautiful
It
woman.
might,
That's
yeah, it might as well have been just a pair
let's
of
do
perfect tits.
ourselves a favor and give this guy whatever fucking what he wants. If we ever get in trouble, we can call him.
Yeah.
Can you get
No,
me off the hook?
listen, privilege is a thing. I guess apparently badge privilege is a thing. So I'm well aware of it. So I don't recommend this as a strategy to anybody. I know I'm very fortunate that this happened, but I do recognize it at the time. I was like, this is what it must be like to be a beautiful woman, where doors just open in
Just
almost
green
every
lights all the way down
situation.
the
Yeah.
street, man. It's just
Just
green.
green lights all the way down the
Listen,
street.
rock and rollers get it a little too, but I don't think it's quite as accentuated. I mean, unless you're, I don't know, fucking someone
Well,
super famous.
and
Yeah.
again, to be fair, you said no one's ever done this to you. They did do this to you at the AP store.
Well, they did. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I got a little bit of
Had
that. Yeah.
a similar experience where,
Yes.
you're questioning maybe they had one lying around, but they did remember you and they said, "Hey, are you interested?"
Yeah, yeah. There was a little bit of like, oh my god, that's the guy that they keep asking about, and
Yeah.
I did feel
You
a
felt
certain.
special. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt special. I felt
Yeah.
better about myself for
Yeah.
that day. You know.
And
Um,
that's listen, that there is some truth to that too. There's a psychology there too that, it's that feeling you get when you're sitting in first class and you know that there's only 7 other people on the plane having the same experience while everybody else is in coach. So
right.
it's an
Unfortunately,
ugly thing to acknowledge, but it
yeah.
is there.
It is there. Yeah, it's kind of sad to think that these things are special for us. But yeah, hey, listen, when they, let's put it this way, when they occur, they shouldn't really be a part of society, these things. But when
Sure.
they do occur and you're on the right side of it,
Yeah.
it's like that clip in the Carissa video when I'm bringing her around Venice and we're like trying on watches and all the staff know me and I walk in with this, blonde and they're like, "Oh, look at his little toy or whatever." He's definitely he's going to cough up the 35,000 for the rain to Naples for this girl or whatever. They were like, "Oh, have you seen the roof?" And I know that it takes 3 or 4 days to get a reservation for that roof.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It used to be easier, but then somebody made a TikTok video about it, and that was the end of that. But have you seen the roof? And I was like, well, I've been up there, but do you want to see it, darling? She's like, oh, yeah. And then we're brought up, by one of the representatives, and there's a big line of people, and there's a poor lady there getting ejected, like rejected rather, just like, no, you have to book days ahead. Sorry, ma'am. And we just breeze right in, and they're like a couple of
Yeah.
words, and I do a pause, and the whole crowd behind her, like, who the fuck are they? But if
Yeah.
you're on our side of it, you're like,
Sure, it's
you feel fine.
fantastic.
If I was in that line, I'd be just as mad as them. So it's just
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that if you get the call, I mean, you can complain all you want about Rolex and their wait lists, all you want, and God knows the whole watch world do. But when the phone rings and it's Rolex, it's your
Yeah.
AD.
That
By God,
serotonin hits.
you're picking up that call and you're prancing down the street, wiggling your ass with pride, to pick up
Yeah.
that watch. And all of a sudden you're all stum about how it's all unfair and it's
No, of course. And that's again the exclusivity of it is one of those unfortunate byproducts that people don't want to acknowledge. You're right. When everybody if it was readily available, how popular would they really be? And if there was
I mean,
no
yeah, and how many people getting on first class or people who get an upgrade, they have a regular ticket
yeah.
on the 747 or whatever, and they're told last minute, "Would you like an upgrade? We have a spare seat."
Yeah.
How many
Who
people
says
turn?
no?
How many people go? No, that wouldn't seem right. No, I paid for my ticket, and I'm just gonna sit in my seat. How many
Yeah.
people do that? No.
Of course. Yeah, so it's the same it's the same thing. The exclusivity of it is a part of it and that does make you feel more special. And it's not, I don't know that it's an ugly part of human nature. It's just a part of human nature. I think taken to the extreme, it can become ugly and it can
Yeah.
become, corrosive socially. But
Yes.
I think if you appreciate that, again, I wasn't walking around, look at me, ha ha ha, I got the Pepsi with zero
No, you're not
spend
that kind of guy.
at
No.
the AD. I was so humbled by that experience and kind of taken aback that it even happened that I was even kind of embarrassed to tell people about it.
Mm.
But for a lot of people that obviously would have definitely traded places with me in that moment, I think
Yeah.
it's fair to say that most people wouldn't have turned that call down and wouldn't have been aghast at the other people in line who didn't get the call and say, well, hold on, I'm sure there's a guy who has a six-figure spend with you that probably deserves this more. No
Right.
one's doing that. So I'm just being
Um,
realistic.
did you get all your pieces from the AD,
I
or did
have
you
purchased
provide in
two.
gray?
I've purchased two from the Gray. I purchased the SD43 from
Mm.
Nashville Watch. If
Mm.
anyone's heard of them, I'll give them a plug here. Probably one of the most straightforward gray dealers, and this is how good the guy is. His name is Chase. So Nashville Watch or Nashville Watches, you'll find it if you Google it. But I had purchased the SD43 from him, and I had it for probably a week, and I got the call for the sub, and
I
I
remember.
yeah, and I called him back and I said, "Listen, man, I hate to do this, but is there any way we can work something out where I just basically sell the watch back to you?" And he, I think at the time I paid like 12.5 or 13 or something for it. So
Yeah.
he could have hit me over the head and said, "Yeah, sure, I'll take it back for 11, or 10."
Yeah.
He basically gave me a refund. So he essentially
Oh.
took the watch back I think it was dollar difference because of the shipping, because when he sells, he covers shipping.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Listen, if I get the watch back and it's in the same condition, I'll just refund you all of it minus $100 from my end for shipping." I said, "Jesus, because I was thinking I'm going to lose at least $1,000 here, uh, kind of swapping it back."
Yeah.
So Nashville Watch is one of the places that I went to purchase. And then back in the day, this was early on in the journey, I purchased a uh, Explorer, um, not the modern Explorer 2, I forget the reference number now, but the one with the orange hand, the smaller, or I'm sorry, the one with the red hand, the red GMT hand.
Small. Yeah, the
I had
40 mil.
I had one of those for a little bit. Again, didn't really love it. It was purchased from a gray dealer here locally where I live. But again, same thing. I had it for maybe 6 months. Didn't kind of didn't feel a certain way about it, and
Yeah.
then ended up going back to the AD. So I would say, out of the 7 or 8 watches I've owned, I would say two of them came from non AD. But other than that, it's always been through the authorized dealer.
Right.
And I know that's a whole nother, I only buy from the AD is a whole nother conversation that I know you love. I
Look,
only fly first class. It's like saying,
I only date supermodels.
yeah,
Sorry.
I only date supermodels. I only fly first class. That's the same. That's the
That's my
same.
strict policy.
Yeah.
Let's go back or not a few years, all the years since I started the channel. This was one of my first videos. Look back when it was the
Oh, one
timeless
of the OGs. Yeah.
and look with my shitty setup. And it was this.
It
It
was good.
was
It was rustic. Yeah.
were you
That's another
ever
one,
now
man.
this watch and this video, as poor quality as it isn't a very high quality video. But I'm still getting emails from people going, I bought the Yachtmaster based on that video.
Well, listen,
Uh,
here's the other thing. Just like I said earlier, that most watches look good on you, just, wrist size, skin complexion, all that stuff. This is also an unfair thing because given, again, I'm not trying to kiss your ass here too much here, but given your ability to photograph things and film things, it'd be
yeah,
very difficult for you to make a watch look bad in a shot.
that's true.
So it is
Sometimes
kind
that
of
gets me in trouble, apparently, when I'm selling a vintage 5530.
oh
And I make it
God.
look as nice as I can because I like, yeah. But I
Yeah,
suppose it
that's
was
a
these
whole
shots. Like, yeah, that's a whole
that's
other
a
thing.
whole nother story. This 1984 Mercedes doesn't have power windows.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah, so this is what I mean, like, when you're doing these kinds of shots and you're in, arguably one of the most beautiful, picturesque, historic cities on the planet, it
Mhm.
you could make a G-Shock look good in those shots, so it is a tough argument to make that these are not compelling videos. Because if you watch this stuff, right now watching this, I want a Yachtmaster right now.
You want a Yachtmaster
Yeah,
already, don't
I
you?
mean, yeah,
What
it's the
was I
same.
doing there? Comparing it to I was comparing it to a Fender Strat or a Les
Mhm,
Paul because, of course, I have to make the parallels.
of
Look at me
course.
with my books in the background, and this picture is right behind me right here
Yeah.
now.
Well,
It's
the old
still
days, man.
literally it's yeah, it's behind the window, you can't see it,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But those
Uh,
were the older days with all the Rolex AD hype and how tough it
wasn't it
was back then
great?
to get a watch. Even, dude, even that watch. I mean, you might be able to get that at walk-in now, but back then, this was going over retail everywhere.
No, I got a discount. I got it. I
Oh, you
caught
got
this
it
before
before.
the wave, just before
Yeah,
the wave. I got a discount for $500 on this, which is unbelievable. Then
yeah,
what happened to this watch? Um, I remember when Jenny L got one. She showed the clips of this video. She didn't even ask me about it. That was fine. I didn't care. But she showed clips saying he makes a good point. This watch is such a beauty, but it's buried in the website. It
yeah.
doesn't come up. You have to go find it. Since then, I think things have changed a little bit, but
Well,
it's
and that's the other uniqueness of some of these is that they're not the flagship watch, because
that's
really
right.
this is kind of the Submariner, a fancy Submariner, basically. And
Mm-hmm.
but again, there's something unique about these watches, and I'm sure there's a guy out there
The
that
Brat. There
that's
it
their
is again.
watch.
He got the blue dial one, which is also beautiful because of the video.
There you
Isn't that
go.
amazing? You
It's
never
crazy
know
to
which
think about
video's
that.
going to
Yeah.
hit. They're going to strike, a chord with people. Um, but then there were some nice shots. This wasn't even Venice. It was before I even moved here. But it was plenty of. I have to make sure I do lots of stuff like this with the
Yeah.
Breguet Tourbillon video I'm
Well,
working on.
listen, these things photograph well, and in the right environment with the right backdrop and the slow motion shots. And I mean, come on, you could make the ugliest quote watch look presentable and beautiful given the right conditions. So
Well, that's another thing, not to touch off a sore subject too much, but yeah, there was that incident with the guy who bought the 5513 where he felt that the photos I had sent were too complimentary. And for me, it was like they're detailed, they're high resolution. You can zoom right in, you can see the
yeah,
cracks in the scuffs and the little chips out of the bezel and so on. But they're also complementary. They're showing you what the watch will actually look like. Because the truth
yeah,
is, when people buy some of these vintage watches or even a new watch that's, it's been worn a few times, but they're buying it from the original owner or whatever, they want it under this extremely harsh, brutal light,
yeah.
which to me makes
Autopsy
every watch
photos.
awful. And it would probably turn you off it. When I scroll through Chrono 24 and I'm looking at some watch, it's the guy who's taken the most gorgeous photos that I'm more attracted to
Yeah,
automatically. So I'm like, there it is. That's why because all these watches, if you like them really badly, if it looks like it's in a dentist's office or
yeah.
something, like
It's
it'll
it's the
make all
morgue.
these watches look
Yeah,
awful, and it will turn you
autopsy
off it.
lighting.
Your eyes are a really big part of purchasing a watch.
Yeah,
So my idea was like, okay, well, I'll use my studio light and I'll show how the watch will actually look when he has it on the wrist, when he's out at a restaurant.
yeah,
That's how the watch is going to look. Nobody's going to be from across the room going, "Hold on, is that a tiny scratch at the, or a little, are there chips out of your bezel?" They're not going to see that. They're going to see how magnificent that watch is as a whole. If you cover over, you use Photoshop to hide things, or
yeah. Sure.
you fill in the bezel so it doesn't. You're actually being manipulative or just deceptive, deliberately deceptive. That's different. This
Yeah.
guy pinch and zoom and go right in and see everything in super high detail. But the fact that I made the watch look good, you
Yeah.
stick it under harsh light, then you see all the scuffs and scraps, the scratches that really look bad. It reminds me of when I'm walking around Venice doing a live stream and people start saying to me in the audience, "Oh my God, there's so much graffiti." And I'm like, "What? Oh shit, yeah, I didn't notice. I did not notice the graffiti I walked past. But for some reason on the camera, it's just picking up all this stuff. And people are like, oh, there's graffiti
Yeah.
there. And you don't see it as you walk through Venice because there's so much marvel of beauty everywhere. It's like the graffiti is a secondary thing or
Yeah, you're not
tertiary.
focused, but you're right too, and I don't know why this is a strange concept for people to grasp because you do the same thing when you purchase a watch. When you go on the Rolex website, they look
Mm,
very different. Then you go to the AD, and the AD lighting is usually pretty harsh and brutal. And then you
yeah.
take the watch home with you, and I've had this even happen where my wife and I went out to dinner a few nights ago, and I just caught my wrist at the right angle sitting at the table, and I'm like, God damn, that's a beautiful watch. Just for that split second, but
Yeah.
you never really have that experience looking at it on the website. It's a completely different version.
Yeah, I think some watchmakers have better lighting on their website and probably sell more watches for it. It's funny. I don't have one of these things now. This Yachty.
And the
Uh,
black one, you got rid of the GMT too, right?
God, how many of those did I have? I gave one to Nico. I had a new old stock one,
Yeah,
and
that's another classic one too.
yeah, and then I had the root beer, and I even had the Pepsi and the Batman. God, I've gone through them all.
You've went
This
through.
was back
I
in the
think
day
you've
when
went through
I
the
carry
entire
around fucking
catalog.
yeah, probably. I used to carry around a Rolex wallet on me. How stupid was that? That was like a lame. I was so excited. It's like a whole new world to me. I'm all jaded about the watch world.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
what I mean.
can't.
The novelty and the naivete of it when you first started is, this childlike wonderment about it, and now you're kind of like, ugh,
Now I'm like,
what was I thinking?
now I know all the watch fanatics and the YouTube channels, and
Yeah.
the sight of a watch turns my stomach almost. Nah, not really, but
Well,
uh,
no, I know what you mean. It's the old adage of never meet your heroes, but I think the same works in the other direction is never meet your fans.
right, yes. Don't interact with your fans. It's not a good idea. They're very fickle people. It is a good watch, though. But again, look at the angle I'm shooting it from there.
And
That's how
look at the
much
background. I
novice.
mean, come on.
Yeah, the background. That's Piazza di Signori. I lived
Yeah.
right behind that, right behind where I'm sitting. That was my view of that. Yeah, that was a nice apartment. And yeah, Piazza di Signori is right. It's Palladio, all Andrea Palladio, everything in the center of that town.
Then
Uh,
really this is the same thing that happens with marketing, because you're visualizing if you're looking for that watch, you're visualizing what it would look like on you given this
there, yeah.
sitting in a
Well, yeah.
restaurant, sitting outside in Italy somewhere, traveling with it. That's what you're envisioning. That's what you're being sold is that feeling, that romantic attachment
Yeah,
to this,
you're some guy sitting in New Jersey, or in Detroit, and you've got a Walmart and a Dairy Queen down the street. You start
Yeah, this is
romanticizing it, wearing your watch
yeah,
in an environment like this, not sitting next to the Dairy
yeah.
Queen or the
It's hard to
McDonald's.
make that watch look bad in any setting, but here,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's beautiful.
it's a good one, man. It's a good one. But you have a big wrist. I've seen the SD43 in your wrist, and it looks like a sub.
It looks good, yeah.
You would
That's
want
the
to be
one
careful.
watch I miss. That's the
Yeah.
one that got away, as the saying
Is it?
goes.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think if I was ever to swap out, if somebody gave me, an SD43 to switch out, I think I would switch it out with the sub. That might be one of the only watches that uh, I'm lusting after that I've had, but I'm
No.
still now looking ahead into old man territory, whether I'm going to go with VC, Breguet, or something solid gold from Rolex. That's going to be my next.
You
So
just added
I
you
may
added
not
the
be.
way to that list. What when
Yeah.
did that happen?
Well, the Breguets
Always
happened.
VC with you, man.
Yeah.
If you were gonna go Trinity, it was always VC.
It was VC, yeah. VC was Trinity, but Breguets I got into when I went to California with the gang there. Sean, if he's
Yes.
still listening, I still have to can't thank him enough for. I called him the mayor of Beverly Hills because everywhere we went, he was on a first name basis with everybody, and they shut down the Breguet store for us and basically gave us a Breguet 101.
Oh my
uh,
god.
Brought out a bunch of watches. It was incredible, and that was kind of one of the first times I've actually, I saw these watches in real life. And the brand itself, obviously, historic brand. So I'm looking ahead. I'm kind of thinking, where am I going to be in 10 years or 20 years? What is my work going to be like? Probably be retired by then. What am I going to be doing with my time? What's my
Yeah.
life going to be like? What's my aesthetic going to be like? And what watch will best fit that new version of me?
Yeah, because you were always about VC being the thinking man's Trinity watch.
Yeah, I think
This
if
is
I
a
go
huge
Trinity,
super chat from Johan Calatrava. What a legend. 2000 South African. Let me give you a big bang boom for this. Why not? Thank you, Johan.
and no question.
No questions, just
Perfect.
great chat. This is
Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you, sir. What an absolute legend. It is Super Chat Sunday, guys. I'm enjoying the chat here with our mystery friend, John. He has to protect his identity. That's why you can't see him. And we have to use a different name and so on. But always a very welcome guest on the channel. I'm trying to think, what other watches do I have present that I can even compare to kind of, I don't know, just put up against, because it seems like the Seamasters, everyone was like, oh, that's you. I don't have the AP at the moment. That's
at the bank.
yeah.
Well,
I gotta, I can't keep all these watches in the
Yeah.
house. I'm moving soon as well. When you're
Yeah.
moving, that's when people try to rob you. So I have to be extra.
That's they say divorce, moving, and a death of a relative are the three most traumatic things you can experience in life.
Yeah.
So I don't envy you with the move. Sounds like it's
That's all right.
going along smoothly, though, which is
beginning to get
Yeah.
smooth. It wasn't smooth. There has been some major hiccups. I'm thinking about a black watch here. I have the Carinardo, and this is gunmetal. This one. I'm just wondering, is this, going back years, I think a lot of people would have thought a black watch for that. I used to wear a lot of black. I was always in black, it's easy and it suited me, But
again, man, this is the curse of a good sized wrist and a good aesthetic. Nothing looks bad. That looks great too.
yeah. Yeah, I was trying it on in her showroom in Milan, and I was like, "Do you mind if I borrow this for a few days?" She's like,
I'm gonna shoot this.
Yeah. She's like, "Yeah. Next time I see you can give it back to me." It's not just black; it's gunmetal, so it's pretty nice.
Is that steel or is that titanium?
DLC? It's steel,
Okay.
but DLC cover. But she has a Nero di Sepia, which is kind of almost a matte black, but then the gunmetal is rarer and it has this mad shine to it,
Yeah,
like
that's beautiful.
almost kind of looks silver or gold from certain angles. Picks up a lot of light. That's good. It's good stuff. Like, if I went back 10 years before I had a decent watch and somebody handed me this, I'd be like, that's it. That's my watch forever. That's me. That suits me. It's,
That's what I'm saying. Everybody is closer to that than they think because everybody was a one watch guy at the beginning because most people bought that one and that was it for a long time. So everybody's closer to that mindset than they realize. The other thing is, if you really, God forbid something happened, you had to sell everything off except for one. Everybody knows the one they would keep. If everything went to hell and you needed liquid, you know, cash right now, and you had to offload your
Well,
collection, but you were allowed to
that's a
keep
really
one.
good way of asking it. Then, in that
Okay.
case,
Yeah, which one is it?
where it doesn't need courage or it doesn't need,
Yeah, it's a necessity.
a bit like a chronic alcoholic who's told by the doctor, who winds up in hospital, and the doctor says, "You need to stop today."
Yeah,
And
it's
you
a
can
forced
never
choice.
begin your life, otherwise you have a month to live. That'll turn an alco into a reformed
Yeah,
alco overnight. There won't be any withdrawal problems or temptation when a trained physician looks at you and goes, "You
yeah,
have about 2 months to live unless you stop now." Even if you do stop now, you might have not that long. That'll if you're forced to make a change. Again, I'm thinking about very macabre parallels here, but if there was some sort of massive tragedy and I was like, I need to sell my whole watch collection to fix this problem in my life. I need, I get probably 45, 50 for one of the APs, 20, 28 for the other, etc., etc. The brigades probably would fetch a fair amount of money. And of course, the Rolex are very easy to flip. Then I don't think it would be hard. Where is she? Where is she? She's there. She is. I think I'm back to her again.
there you go. See?
Back to the start. Back to zero. Back to, you know, pass go and collect a $200 on
Yeah.
Monopoly. All the
And
way
it's the
back.
same, and that's how, when people ask me how I ended up on the No Date Sub, that is how I ended up on the No Date Sub, because my very first luxury watch was an 114060 No Date Sub. And
Oh,
then I got the bug of what else is out there? What else is out there? And while
okay.
I kept the discipline of only keeping one, I would
Uh-huh.
sell, get a new one, sell, get a new one, wear it for a year or two, sell, get a new one. And then I ended up right back where I started with the No Date Sub. So, it's kind of like, again, I hate to be, crass about it, but it's like with women, you're dating, you're dating, you're dating, and then you realize that first girl that you really kind of liked and got along with, that's actually the best option, because all the other women don't really fulfill all the needs you have as a person. And that one person that you were friends with and had a romantic relationship with that didn't work out at the time, you're kind of like, maybe that's the one. So we're
Sometimes you
all,
don't know what you have until you
yep.
lose, right? And you let her go. Remember that song?
And you let her go.
And you let her go. There's the 114060 on me.
That's where it all started for me.
Yeah.
That was the original.
Isn't that that's a great watch? It's hard to argue with that. Here in Italy, they're so Rolex. I bumped into Cristiano from Panerai the other day, and I was like, "How's it going?" And he said Americans, they're saving us. Only Americans buy Panerai. Americans come through the piazza
Yeah.
Panerai. He's like, Italians don't buy Panerai. It's an Italian brand. Italians do not buy it.
Which is crazy. You would think that they would be all about it.
There's a few reasons. I went over them before, but for anyone who hasn't heard, first of all, they're very big in most cases, and Italians don't tend to be big people.
Yeah.
They're quite slender in many cases. Daytona can look very large on an Italian man's wrist, whereas it looks very small on me. The other thing is there's an association with its history with the military, that it was the wrong side of history.
Yeah, the association with the frogmen of World
The
War II.
frogmen, and it's like, who are they fighting for? There's that problem.
Yeah. Which is ironic, because the U.S. Navy SEALs love Panerais.
Yeah, well,
and you would think
when you get to that level, you still respect. It's like when the lads, I did that episode for Zero West about the Stalag Luft 3 or 3, where all those lads were being held in a prison camp in World War II. and there was a mutual respect, even though they were prisoners. The guys overseeing them and so on, there was a respect happening because at the end of the day, they were all pilots or they
Yeah.
were all
Yeah.
soldiers. So it's like, oh, what do you fly? And oh, how does that handle? Oh, it's good, but there's a problem with the torque. And so even
Yeah.
though they were on opposite sides, they were still pilots. There was still respect
Yeah.
among them. And I've noticed that with many that are kind of at that level of knowledge, that sure, you know, if they were to take a side, they have to take their side, but they also have a certain respect for other sides, which is interesting. It becomes intellectual. So
Yeah.
I would say certainly that military boys, Navy SEALs, and so on are going to respect at least the craft of the
Yeah.
frogmen,
And
regardless
it's
of the
probably
side
and it's
they're on.
probably also different from an American perspective, admiring the Italian version versus the Italian admiring that part of their own history. You know
Well, the
that.
third thing about it, yes, but the third thing about it for Italians is they are stuck on brand. Like a lot of Italians won't even say a watch; they'll say a Rolex.
Mm.
They really are obsessed with brand. I used to marvel years ago. Invicta, the guys who make the watches, make backpacks for school. You know, school backpacks for
Mhm.
kids. They're bright. They're really good for kids walking home, maybe in the evening during the winter. You're not going to hit them with your bike or your car or whatever, and they're crossing the street because they have this big backpack that's like bright yellow. You can see it from space, you know. And they're Invicta backpacks. And I used to always say, I can spot the Italians in Dublin. I can spot the students because they have Invicta backpacks. Absolutely every kid in the north of Italy has an Invicta backpack for their books. And it was almost like, oh, you're going to school, you know, you're starting in September. We better go buy your books and so on and get your Invicta, not get your backpack
Yeah.
and see which brand you like. Just get the Invicta. It works for everyone else. You need one too. So it's like, you know, you also need your Persols or your Ray-Bans or you know, you need that
Yeah. They're big on the
brand.
brand.
They're stuck on brands. And no matter what you say to them about Panerai, they're going to go, oh, yeah, but what about Rolex? Like they're just obsessed. You know, they're obsessed with the Rolex idea. And if it's not Rolex, if they've made a lot of money, it's AP. You know,
Yeah.
if you own the restaurant or you own the hotel, you're AP. You know,
Yeah. Which is
Yeah,
strange that
everyone else is
nationalism.
Rolex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
it's really-
imagine how diehard Americans would be about an American brand if there was an American equivalent in the watch world that was like a Panerai or an Omega or you know,
No, there's a sexiness to. I think Americans. This is a guess, but I think Americans like the idea. Oh, it's Swiss made.
Yeah,
Swiss.
yeah.
Switzerland. Where's that?
It's
Sounds
luxury.
exotic,
Yeah.
expensive. You know, it's not. Oh, it was made down the street in Detroit or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
meh, that kind of
Well,
kills it.
Shinola never really took off.
It never did.
That's a Detroit
It's
brand.
a Detroit brand, and it's decent. It's the same here also with cars. Yes, Italians love the Ferrari and the Lamborghini and the Bugatti. They're very proud of them. But you ask most Italians what car do you want, and they'll say a German car.
Yeah.
Well, it's German, so it's going to work. They have, BMW. They want BMW. They want Mercedes. It's like,
Yeah.
which one do you want? Do you want your BMW or your Mercedes? That's
Yeah.
what they want.
And if you go to Germany, Mercedes are cabs. Where
I'm
over
not
there, if you have a Corvette,
That's
you
a
know,
good question. I wonder, do the Germans revere the Italian cars the same way? I doubt it.
well, I know that Europeans revere the American muscle cars.
Yes, and I know a lot of
That's a thing.
yes, and I know a lot of car fanatics. My daughter's mom was a big car fanatic. She'd watch Formula One every Sunday with her father, who was a car mechanic himself, and she used to talk about Chrysler. She used to say they're beautiful. Chrysler is a beautiful. I was like, that's so weird. Like,
Yeah.
you guys kind of you invented cars here, like, and you were the kings of Formula
Yeah.
One.
If you're driving a Mustang, you know, an older
a
Mustang,
Mustang. Oh my God, they go
forget it.
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's a status symbol in Europe if you have an American
Having
muscle
a
car.
Mustang here is a super flex.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
So
also, I mean, you're talking about my wheelhouse here with guitars. You know,
yeah,
I walked into a store years ago with an American made 1975 bass to sell. And I mean, the guys fell over themselves.
was it a Fender?
No, it was a Rickenbacker. It was
Oh
actually my
yeah,
brother's, and he had to sell it, unfortunately. And he needed the money at the time. I think it broke his heart. I kept mine. I still have my 1973 for any fans who are watching or know my bass collection. Don't worry, that's safely with Dirk in New York. But, and that's a $25,000 bass now at this point. But that 75, man, they walked in. I was with the doctor at the time, and she was like, "I've never seen anything like that
it's
before."
like
I'm like,
you
"Okay."
walked in with a Rembrandt.
Yeah, yeah, with a Rembrandt, exactly, or a Van Gogh or
Yeah,
whatever. I just
an
like,
original.
they were like, whoa, just to see an American, like fully, I mean, they have American made guitars, but like 1975 made in, I think back then they weren't even made in California, they were made in Honolulu. And Jesus. And I mean, it was gone. The store took it and it was sold in
Oh,
5
I'm
seconds.
sure.
So yes, there's a lot of, hey, it's the same with the French wine, The fucking Italians here hate the French, but I'll pour them a glass of French wine and they'd be like, holy shit.
The
I
tune
know
changes.
they know how to make wine. Unfortunately, I don't know what you're going to do with that piece of information. But,
Yeah.
so I think there's a lust. So I think the Panerai thing, even though Panerai are Swiss made, started in Florence, but they are Swiss made watches. I just don't. The Italians are just meh.
I
They're
think it's
just
the commonality of it too. It's why, if you go to a country, a Nordic country where everybody's, tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, that's the norm. But if
yeah.
you're the exotic in a place where that's not the norm. So maybe the same heuristic is being played out here.
Yes, I should be on a plane to Stockholm tomorrow.
You'd be the anomaly.
If you think, oh my god,
Look at this guy.
dark
features.
dark feature. Oh shit.
Yeah, you'd stand out.
Yeah, apparently brunettes do better
Yeah.
in Scandinavia.
Well,
because
I had a friend that
full of
was
Barbie doll blondes everywhere, and everyone's bored with them.
yeah, I had a friend that was in the Secret Service, and when he would go down to Colombia, he was a single guy, and he's like, "Man, in Colombia, I might as well be Brad Pitt walking around." He was a decent looking guy, but he wasn't Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
But because he was, the anomaly, light brown hair, fit guy, he was just looked at like, oh my God, where is this? What planet did this person come from? We've never seen anyone who looks like him. But in
last
New
year,
York, he was just another white guy.
yeah, it's just a lesson that should be learned. Put yourself in the right place. If you're a bottle of water in the airport, you're worth $6. If you're the same bottle of water in a fucking local supermarket, you're worth $1.
Yeah,
If you're the
that's
same
sweet.
bottle of water at a rave at about 4 in the morning,
Yeah.
where it's high in ecstasy and dehydrated, you're worth about $50.
Yep,
Just
exactly.
put yourself in the right place. With the watch thing, the conversation when the tariffs hit last year and there was all that chaos, and people were wondering in the States, like, are we even going to be able to buy Rolex anymore? Is it going to be like a 100% tariff or something? There was a lot of confusion and worry, and the conversation did come up, like, can't Rolex move one of their factories to the States so we can have an American made Rolex? And I remember saying, nobody's going to want it.
Mm-mm.
They'd be like, well, Rolex made in America. They'd be like, no, I want my Swiss
Yeah, I want the Swiss made.
watch, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Or some of them will buy it, and then it'll come down to like, oh, you have a Rolex. Is it USA or the real thing?
Yeah,
That
that
would
would be the
start
next level. Imagine the obscenity of that, like how obscene that would be. Now you're debating, does it say made in the USA on the dial or does it say Swiss made?
Swiss made. Yeah, it's like Japanese versus Korean made
Yeah.
Seikos. They
Yeah.
carry the Japanese ones carry a higher premium.
But I think the Swiss read that situation pretty well. They realized they just got to show up with a bribe, and the tariffs would vanish pretty quick as quickly as they came on the scene.
Yeah, they figured them out pretty fast. Terry says, "I love Panerai. I would never part with my 111. Would be the last to go." That's nice. Mike, have it tuned into a love in. Okay, you just tuned in. Is that what you're trying to say? Brad Crozier, Oshina would be your Steel Omega. Yeah. You're probably right. Yeah. Jeffrey's thinking about going back to a no date. 114124. Well,
Hmm.
John can answer that because he's had both. I've had both, but John lives with his 124. That's his one watch.
I think the dimensions on the dial don't matter to me as much as the dimensions on the bracelet. I think if you have a wider, thicker wrist and you prefer the thicker clasp or the wider clasp, I should say, I would go with the 12. If you don't really care, again, the changes in the case to me are so minuscule. They're barely noticeable to the naked eye. I know there's a lot of hate for the super case, and everybody cheered the arrival of the 124060 when they slimmed down the lugs. But to me, I don't really see the difference there. So it just really, to me, I think it boils down to the bracelet. If you have preference for the wider clasp and the tapering for the new one, that would be the deciding factor for me more so than the case. But you can't go wrong either way.
Yeah, they're both classics. You can definitely feel it in the clasp and bracelet.
And technically, one is discontinued, so
that's right.
If that makes a difference for you, if you realize that there won't be more of these, because I'm sure this line, the 12 line, will be around for probably the next 10 years or so until they make a 13, and who knows what that change will be. So if you're more apt for getting one of those, believe it or not, those seem to be not as difficult to get from the AD, depending on the AD. I know some people are probably waiting a year or two, but some for a lot of people that I've seen recently, it's their first purchase, first watch from the AD. It's the starting.
Yeah, I mean, price wise, I think the 114060 goes for about 10 in euros, 10.5 in euros. So whatever that is, 11,512 in dollars.
The new ones are a little pricier right now. I'm seeing, and again, the guy I mentioned earlier, Nashville Watch, he probably has the most reasonable prices out there. As far as the gray market goes, there's very little overhead for him because he's mostly digital. He's not. I know he has a brick and mortar store, but it's a very small footprint. But I think he's 26, 2025. No date subs are around 13 or 14. So you're going to be probably paying a little bit more for the newer version.
Sure.
I think the 114060 is probably a little less, but at that point, if you're spending 11, or 12, what's another grand if you're already in that sphere? So can't go wrong either way.
So I suppose the verdict is the Seamaster.
That's a definite stay. Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between a definite stay, as in keep this, keep the AP Chrono, keep Panerai, and then going one watch. That's a whole.
But here's another layer of complexity to this decision that I think you would be in a different arena than other people. You've already had all the other brands. Whereas for some people that have never had an AP or have never had a Patek or never had a VC, it's a little bit of a compromise to say, I'm never going to own that. Whereas you've kind of been through the entire watch market and all these various brands. So it's kind of the same decision that you might make if you've lived all over the world. You still have to live in some place as your home. So it's very different to say, I live in this country, but I've never been anywhere else. I've only been in this place and this is my home, versus the guy that's traveled all over the entire globe and then picks a place that they've decided to call their one home. So for
But
you with the watch world, you've experienced, Omega, Rolex, Patek, VC, Breguet. You've kind of gone through all of them. So
I've slept with all the supermodels,
yes,
and
that's
now I'm
right.
going to
You're
that
not
girl
missing
I
out.
used to date from my hometown, who was the
Yeah,
sweetest.
you can't have
Love.
FOMO because you didn't miss out. So there is no fear of missing out because you can
No,
say, "Oh, I've had that watch. Oh, that's a beautiful watch. I've owned that one before. Yeah, that one's nice. It wears a little bigger than you would think. You've already got that experience. So that go-to might be it."
I have to say though, with all the crazy watches I've had and still have, when I do wear this, it really, it's not like, I'll stick on it and don't notice it all day. It attracts my attention more probably than any of the others. I look
Yeah.
at it and go, God damn, you're a pretty thing, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's still, and I pull out the phone, I'm on the train, and I do a little thing for Instagram and so on. With a watch that by now I should be completely bored with, but it just isn't happening.
No. No. And again, think of all the memories that are tied to that
Yeah,
watch.
right.
That is also irreplaceable.
That's
So
true.
there's something to it, man. Like I said, this isn't a rational hobby to begin with, and even that watch is not a rational purchase. Consider the utility of a regular watch. You could buy a $50 watch that does the same thing to an extent, and you could buy a quartz movement that's more accurate.
Yes.
But there is something to it, and that's why I think this is a unique hobby because of the lack of rationality by seemingly rational people behaving in this way, making these purchases and collecting them and debating it and going back and forth. I think that's what makes this an interesting conversation.
And I do have that extra factor that there's just watches everywhere from brands that send me watches I didn't buy. They just, and watches that I'm, like Pneumatic just told me to keep this titanium thing, which I love. And they're like, hang on to it. The video was
Yeah.
great reaction. And I will if I go back to the beach during the week, I will wear this thing back to the beach. It's the perfect watch for that.
Yeah.
But there is an unspoken agreement that I should take a photo and stick it on Instagram, or I should do a live stream with my friend
Do a
John,
live stream.
stick
There
it
you
on my
go.
wrist where people can go, hold on, what is that? A little bit of free advertising to pay it forward. So I mean, there must be, I don't know, 100 watches in the house of that ilk, at least 100 that are just lying around all over the place. Some stuff
Yeah.
will never make it to the channel because it's not worth showing. Or, in the end, I told them no thanks, and they said, "Fine, keep the watch. We don't care. It'll cost us more to ship it back."
Yeah.
So there's no way, even if I did try to reduce to one watch, what I would be doing is bringing it back to one watch of what I consider my collection in my head.
Yeah.
Luxury watches. The external thing, I mean, all the moon swatches,
Yeah. Those don't really.
right,
Those don't count.
away, and blah blah blah. So it's not like there will only be one watch in the house. It's far from it. But I know it's a
And
strange.
even there, I mean, if you reduced it to, maybe not even one, but if you just started reducing your collection, there is always a point where if you decided to reacquire it, you could. Some of these, obviously, the less, there's certain watches that are probably irreplaceable for you just because of the memories that you have with those. But some of the other watches, I'm sure there's watches you can go look at right now that you think, I haven't even worn this thing in 6 months or a year. When was the last time I put this on? When was the last time I had this on the wrist and felt anything about it? When was the last time I reached for this watch?
Right.
There's got to be those watches that feel, because again, I don't know how many you have. I'm assuming it's probably in the triple digits. If you're thinking about all the watches you have, I think slimming it down.
It's just because
Just because of the job that
even
you
if
have.
it's a $300 watch that was sent by a brand, it's still technically a watch. Not that I would consider it at the level of the AP or something like that. But I have to have them around, and the brand might call me and say, "Hey, can we pay you to do another video? Do you still have the watch?" It's
Yeah.
embarrassing if I say, "No, actually, I don't have it anymore."
Can't find it.
Somewhere around. I still have the footage. But it's a funny thing about the SD43 because now that I have this thing, I don't know if I would buy an SD43 again. I don't
Yeah.
know because for me, the SD43 is like the tough, invincible
Yeah.
watch.
It's the big brother of the sub.
Yeah. And I don't know if I would wear that to a restaurant or out
Yeah.
or to a wedding, or I don't think I would, even though it's a flashy watch. I'd rather wear a sub or something, or a gold thing or something like that. Where would I wear the SD43? When I go to the beach or I'm out hiking or
Yeah.
cycling or something like that. And this thing is definitely going instead because it's one, way lighter.
Yeah.
It goes just as deep, if not deeper, and it's bloody invincible, and it still looks like a big masculine, you know.
Yeah.
Doesn't it
And
look
the
like
brand has a good heritage story too.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, they're
another
they're picking
interesting
up as
aspect of
well.
it.
Yeah. And also, if someone steals it, I'm down 2 grand, not 13.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't like that to happen, but there's that thing like, do I wear the watch out into the sea or do I stick it in my shoe with my towels and my water on the beach? And, look back every now and then to make sure some fucking little kids on Lido don't decide to go through my stuff. And, if they run away with a Seiko that's $500, you're like, oh, you little shits.
Yeah. It's a lot different
Whereas if
than
they run away
Rolex.
with your SD43, you're out to,
Yeah.
you're out for blood now.
That's a different It's a different ruin. Your
Different
day's
thing.
ruined a lot more.
Just wear it out into the water. It's built for that. I think at that point, and that's why I was wearing the gold. Like last year, I'd wear the gold sub to the beach. I did
Yeah.
the beach several times. I'd wear the fucking gold sub. Wouldn't
And you
come
wore
off
it in Ireland too, right? When you went.
all around Ireland. Yeah,
Nobody,
even in the
and that's the
rough
thing.
areas
And
of
probably
Dublin.
nobody cared. Nobody noticed.
Nobody gave a shit. Or if I thought there was a situation, I'd just pull down my sleeve. I always had a jacket on anyway.
Yeah.
So it's always fucking cold. Even when it's warm, it's cold. And yeah, but nobody gave it no. Like
And I
even
think
the
that's another
druggies on the
misconception.
street and so on, they were looking at the camera,
Yeah.
looking at the camera gear. They didn't even notice it was a gold watch on my wrist. They could have chopped my arm off and made 30 grand right there.
Yeah. And I think that's the other misconception a lot of us have with these things is that we value them as much as we think other people value them, and like you mentioned earlier about the sub being a stealthy kind of watch, which what my wife calls affectionately the gray man, the guy that you don't really notice, but you kind of saw him, but then he's gone and you're like, where'd that guy
Yeah.
go? And I've had that where, people that are watch people will notice it on my wrist if I'm sitting there talking, having a conversation. But
Uh-huh.
I've never had anybody compliment me or notice it or even look twice that wasn't themselves into watches. So it is a very, understated piece, which is another reason why I like it, which was not happening with the Pepsi. The Pepsi got a lot of attention and the Submariner
Brighter.
does
Yeah.
not, especially without the Cyclops. Almost nobody notices it. It looks like every other dive watch out there. And unless you know what you're looking for, you're not going to spot it.
I'm changing the title of our video tonight because
I was going to say, yeah, we didn't talk about anything
just did
controversial.
watches, but I kind
Pure
of
watch talk.
I want to leave it that way.
Yeah, pure watch talk, man. This was good. This was good.
Nice. Forget the other shit.
And we did go a little introspective and deep,
Yeah.
So it's something to think about.
Yeah, it's good not to talk about the woes of the world for once. Just fucking shit about the watches.
There's
I
always.
guess we'll wrap it up. We're coming up on 2 hours. That was a
2
great
hours.
It's nice to just go through the idea of these collections and what collecting is and whether that's even a noble pursuit at all. The couple of points that are going to stay with me. One is that perhaps the collecting and the gathering of multiple watches is just an endless search for the perfect watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a very expensive way to go searching. Like in the supermarket, you go looking for, the fruit, you pick up loaves of bread to see which one is softer, or you're looking for the ripest watermelon you can
Yeah.
find, or whatever. It's just a really expensive, laborious version of that. And the other thing that will never leave my mind is your point about my dad's fucking lighter.
Yeah.
Damn you, man. Got inside my soul with that
There
one.
you go. And I was hoping you would say the third point is, what would your daughter pick?
Well, that's the point.
Yeah,
That's
same, yeah.
that's the one. That's
Oh,
the
that's a
one.
point. The same, yeah.
That's the point. Like what, like you were saying, like, just to reiterate it, if anybody came late to the thing, this is my dad's lighter, reimagined now, but he loved this thing. He always had it with him. I have memories of him proudly lighting his cigarettes with this thing. It's nothing special. It's just a solid brass Zippo, but it meant a lot to him. And he passed away over 20 years ago. And John said, what would it be as poignant if he had a big, huge collection of lighters? It wouldn't. It's that this was the one. And then the extension of that point is like, if something were to happen to me, and which one would Lydia pick? Or, do you want your dad's watch? And she'd be like, which fucking one? I don't know. You mean my dad's watch? Yeah. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything, I'll take the whole collection, thank you very much. She could buy herself a house in the mountains.
Yeah, and that's how I choose to look at it. I think where people see the absence of quantity as the downgrade, to me, the singularity of that one item is the potency of that one item, because it's so much more meaningful, because it is a one of one.
Right. DG says, I remember O'Shea's the Black Beauty was his favorite watch, then got the Chop. The Black Beauty is certainly in my top 2 or 3 of Rolex. Yes, I think that GMT full black. I know the new one with the gray, the Bruce Wayne, is a beautiful watch, but that black one, it appears to be essentially what John has. It looks like a sub at first, but it's got something else about it. And of course, it is a GMT. And I'm very much in love with that watch. And I still hold it in very, very high regard. So, yeah. Mr. Badgas, $5. One watch is like only picking one painting or one song. Why? Do you want to answer that?
I don't know that it's the same thing, because a painting and a song, or music in general, are creations that other people are generating for you to enjoy. Whereas the watch is something that you incorporate into your own life, and that becomes more of an essence for you, because you're the one wearing it every day. Yes, it's manufactured, but you have that one unique piece. So I don't know that it's the same parallel there, but I get the point, is if you're able to enjoy multiple things. Again, I'm not saying that this is for everyone. I just think that there is kind of a solace and a simplicity in just having that minimalist mindset when it comes to certain things, and that if you don't really have the desire to purchase more or acquire more pieces, you don't really need to. So, but to each their own. Everybody's entitled to their own journey collecting and their own opinion. But I think if you're starting to ponder whether you have too much or too many, maybe it is a cue to dial back and see what really matters and which one you really do enjoy.
Yeah, the question I would say, just to add to your point, is, are we comparing apples to oranges now? Because I don't think a man should have one suit or one shirt. You should have a selection. And certainly you need more than one song in your life.
Yeah.
One painting on your wall. Is that the same as a watch? Is a watch a different kind of object? Is it, does it have a stoic position in your life that is different to just suits? Every man have a couple of suits at least, a few suits to choose from, a couple of blazers, different combos or whatever for different occasions. Probably a black tux for those moments, something for the summer, etc., etc. We certainly need various paintings around our house. The watch might be a different thing because it might be a little more part of you.
Yeah, I think there's a difference there. There's concentric circles here that intertwine at certain spots, but I think a watch, at least for a man, there is some unique quality to it where it's infused into the identity of the person more. And I think it's easier to do that with one watch than it is with multiple watches.
Well,
Just like the
again,
lighter example.
yeah, I'll invoke that thing from earlier in the show. These days, you'll see, football players at a thing, and there'll be watch spotters going, "Hey, look, he wore the new Rolex to the thing." Roger Federer, what does he have on this time? Oh, we spotted Daniel Craig wearing the new Omega, or we spotted Brad Pitt with a VC on, and last week he had a Rolex on. But there was a time when you had Paul Newman, who only wore the Paul Newman Daytona ever.
Yeah.
And we had Brando, who would never part with his GMT, his half broken GMT. And you had, all these.
Yeah, Lenny Kravitz. Yeah.
Yeah. These guys, the watch was kind of part of their identity. And
yeah, I think there's just more uniqueness to that. If what you're going for is a unique expression of who you are, yeah, I think I think there's more potency in the fact that it's one. That's a lot more symbolic of who you are because you have just that one.
Walter
again, these are timeless.
Walter Breaking Bad always had the Hoyer that Jesse gave.
Yeah,
it became part of the story.
Yeah, and these aren't perishable items. They don't expire. It's not like you can wear out your Rolex. The Rolex will outlive you. It's not like a pair of shoes. It's a different type of piece. So
a different thing to a pair of shoes, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I know that's not for everybody, and I know that it may be, strange to think of it in that way. But I think if you do consider it, you may be closer to it than you think. If everybody has that one watch that they think of as theirs, as that one go-to, then you might be closer to being a one watch guy than you care to realize.
Listen, if that one watch is a bright yellow G-Shock, maybe you want to
maybe you want to reconsider your life choices. That's true.
You're really coming to the funeral with that thing on. It's my favorite watch.
Well, if it works for you, if it works for your style, maybe. Who knows? Your one G-Shock might be it.
I want to close it up now before we talk about the woes of the world. Let's not do it. Let's just to watch us tonight. It was nice, relaxing Sunday night. Super Chat Sunday, which apparently only a couple of people got the memo. Sean, of course, is a member. Thank you for 38 months. Oh my God, I feel old now. James Vacheron, what a name.
Oh, that's great.
Johan Calatrava, thank you so much, man. You pretty much paid for the evening single-handedly. God bless you. There were a couple of PayPals that came through. Thank you, guys. Mr. Badgas. Light evening, but good chat. Enjoyable.
Yeah.
Good to have you back on the show, John.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I know it's been a crazy couple months, a lot going on with the in-laws, medical stuff, and just work's been busy. So I know I've been a little off the radar, but I'm still around, and it's definitely good to catch up. And I appreciate the conversation and everybody's attention. As always, it's good to be here.
John has an excellent Substack, guys. You should get right on it and subscribe. It's called Stop Screaming, I'm Scared Too. And
another thing I've been neglecting recently.
Yeah, you'll pick your rhythm up again.
I'll pick it back up.
Hey, there's the watch.
There it is. The one and only.
Oof. Man, you can't call that the gray man, the under the cuff. That fucking watch is.
Well, that's a good photo. That's a good photo. But yeah,
Man,
that's
watch shines. Come on.
yeah. That was a good one. That was the one
Yeah.
article. Or no, that's the other one. The most recent one was the one you said was your favorite. The one at the top, Inside the Box, because those were kind of together.
That was riveting. That was riveting. I couldn't stop it. I was going to a friend's party and I was playing it on the way, and I walked an extra couple of blocks just so I could finish it. It was like,
those two are almost like Where the Truth Lies and Thinking Inside the Box are almost like a part A and part B of the same interrogation and police interrogation and all that stuff. So I'm glad people enjoyed it.
Everything about interrogation. If you ever get dragged into a room with a chair and a desk and a light in your eye and a reverse mirror on the wall, you want to know the information in these things.
Yeah.
It's gonna perhaps save your life.
It's a PSA for sure. Yeah. For sure, a PSA. And it's a free Substack. So for anyone that's subscribing, it is a free Substack. I will get back into writing. Like I said, I've been pivoted off of it just by, the factors of life that we all have, but I will be back at it sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. I'll look forward to it. Guys, it's John L. Richard at substack.com. Let me put that in the chat so you can see. I'll put it up on the screen. If you don't already use Substack, you should. See, it's johnlrichard.substack.com. Substack is great for podcasts and interesting info. And as he said, it is free. So if you're not happy, what's the line you always say? If you're not satisfied,
if you're not happy, you got your money's worth.
You got your money's worth.
If you enjoyed it, you're welcome. If you didn't, you got your money's worth.
You got your money's worth. No, I would pay. Honestly, dude, I would fucking pay. I would pay.
I've thought about it, but honestly, something about that. I don't know. I have a lot of friends that are on it that are my friends, and I feel kind of weird charging people for it. But I don't know. Maybe.
How many listeners do you have?
We're at 250 right now, so it's not. I don't promote it much. I just kind of, like I said, to me, it's like my journal and my extemporaneous thoughts making out to the internet. That's kind of how I treat it. But I helped a friend.
If you get over 1,000, you can start saying, "All right, guys,"
Well, I pointed my efforts into another direction, and I helped a friend work on a book. There's another book. Actually, if you don't mind, give him a quick plug. This is another guy. He's a retired Secret Service agent, and his book is called "Tell Me Everything," and the author's name is Brad Beeler, and he is probably, I would say, one of the world's renowned experts in this field of, communication and conversation.
He is,
and this guy is probably one of the best in this field. Sorry, I had to mute there. I had a motorcycle screaming by my house. Yeah, Brad Beeler. He's on a few. Yeah, Brad Beeler, retired Secret Service agent, retired polygraph examiner with the Secret Service. He's conducted probably more criminal polygraphs than any other person in the government. Amazing guy. He was an instructor at the polygraph school for the federal government. He's making the rounds now. He's retired, so he's making the rounds now on the podcast circuit, and just a fascinating guy. And this is kind of a book about using all these techniques in everyday communication and kind of navigating that weird murky space where you're, whether you're talking to a friend or a relative or you're doing business negotiations, whatever world you live in, if you're using communication strategies, this is one of the best. It's an easy read. It's not overly technical. There's good stories in there from his time with the Secret Service, and just a excellent book, well written, well researched, and he's one of the experts.
Secret Service agents' proven strategies for earning trust, revealing the truth, and communicating with anyone. Ooh,
yeah, and this guy is This guy knows his stuff. So
Right.
a good. I'm honored to call him a friend, and he's an excellent instructor, an excellent practitioner of these things. Saved.
I'm gonna buy the audiobook as I walk around Venice. I like to
Yeah.
listen to audiobooks.
That's
again.
excellent. It's well worth it. You'll
Yeah.
pick up some interesting things, and some of the stuff you'll probably be like, oh, I think I heard John mention this, because I learned it from Brad.
You plagiarizing?
Oh, hey, I'm giving credit. I learned some of this stuff from Brad. He
Guys,
was
go buy that book if you're interested. But before you do so, please go over to johnlrichard.substack.com and sub to a very highly insightful and very well read.
And more coming. I know I've got a good amount of articles there to keep people interested if they're new, but more will be coming.
Yeah, I'd start at the beginning and go through them all. Of course, you covered a lot of topics, current affairs and so on. And even the rule of Rolex. Look at that. So some nice watch stuff going on there.
There is, yeah. For those of you that are into watch, there's plenty of watch content. There's actually a couple articles about the One Watch guy, and then the Tourist Trap. That's a watch centric article. So there's a few.
I don't know anyone in my life who can take that photo.
Oh, come on. Well, I guess the chair. That's true.
That photo.
Yeah. I've had people wonder if I really do what I do for a living. Yeah, there you go. It's
you got to put your feet down on those pads.
Yeah, those are movement sensors. So they register movement. So the old trick that people used to use about put a nail in your, put a tack in your shoe or curl your toes when you answer a question.
Yes.
That's what those are for. And you can't see it from here because it's actually inserted in the chair, but there's a similar seat sensor. So that seat pad
so you can
has a sensor.
Your ass,
yeah,
right?
You can't. Yeah, you can, like and then I see it,
and you know it's a lie.
And then we have a conversation about not following instructions.
Oh my God! If I was ever in that situation, I'd be just like, "Fuck it, I'm just going to tell the truth."
That's
they know far too much about how to find out how to figure out what you're saying, if what you're saying is true.
And hey, some of those techniques I used on you tonight to get you to think about being a One Watch guy.
I saw what you were doing.
You did. You knew. I will give you that. You did see it. I telegraphed it, but you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming.
It's fucking chess with you, man. Playing 3 moves ahead, 6 moves ahead. I can feel it.
No, you're one of the guys I enjoy these conversations with, because you meet me word for word, and you're on the same wavelength. That's why I value these conversations that are in public as well as our private discussions. I do value it. So thank you again for the audience and for the conversation. It's always a pleasure.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that evening. We kept it on Watch Talk. We kept it light, but it went a little bit philosophical. That was fun. And it's great to have John back on the show. I'm going to have him back on a more regular basis, like the old times. And we will talk about current affairs every now and then, because I do not shy away from those things like many other channels do, for fear of losing subs. I've already lost all the subs I'm bound to lose anyway at this point. They all hate me. And,
you're gaining more every day. I think
I'm gaining all the new people who are like, actually kind of like what he said.
Yeah.
And I'm losing all the people who are like, how could you say that? So it's kind of a natural filter system. But no, it's always good to have you on, man. And we will do lighter shows, and we'll do heavier shows as well. They're always good, and people really appreciate those too. So none of it goes to waste, I can tell you that. And it's a great honor to have smart guys like yourself on the show.
I appreciate it.
So cheers, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Is after 20 after we went on for 2 hours 20, practically all about watches. Think of it. Amazing.
That alone is an achievement.
It is. Yeah, we resisted the temptation of the other stuff. Hey, sometimes you just want to shoot.
Yeah. We stayed out of the tractor beam.
Yes, so much so. All right. Thanks for coming on, man. Thank you to everyone who's watching, all the super chats and PayPals that came in. I will see you guys later in the week. I'll be editing the new Turin video after I get off here, probably to the wee hours of the morning. It's looking really sexy. If you want to see some preview photos, just go on my Instagram. _channel is my Instagram. I just posted some a couple of hours ago, so you can get a sneak peek on what the video looks like. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Everybody have a good night. I'm gonna go have dinner. My wife's texting me. time to eat. So enjoy the rest of your night, and thank you everybody for listening.
Good stuff. Take it easy, everyone. Peace. Love. See ya. So.